Hello and happy President's Day. It's the 19th of February 2024. And how's everybody doing? For most of us, we have the day off today. Hey, Robert Simmons, how you doing? So I've got some research that I did and some interesting stuff to share with you today. What's happening? And as Robert Simmons over here says, happy birthday, Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. That's what President's Day basically was. They have their two separate birthdays that people used to celebrate. Then they're like, let's just have President's Day, celebrate it all together. So even if there are other presidents that don't have birthdays in the month of February, it's President's Day. Unless you really, really like a particular president, then you can celebrate their birthday however you want. But federally, that's what this is all about. You got these two guys right here. Yep, I agree. Abraham Lincoln, good old honest Abe. Very good. All right. So let's look back at history. And in fact, I have to go to the other room because my notes are in the other room. All right. Man, this morning started off so cold here where I live in Texas, but then it's decided to warm up again. Okay, so we're talking about presidents. And for the most part, we're talking about dead presidents, even though I don't have any money. And some of the presidents that are dead are on our dollar bills and stuff like that. Hey, I'm doing pretty good. All right, so let's do a quiz here. See how much we know about presidents. Okay, so 200 years ago was the year 1824. And I guess it's only me and Robert right now, but I'm just going to put this out here. Hey, if anybody watches this back from the beginning, we're turning this into like a quiz show or whatever. You can guess before I actually give the answer. Okay, so 200 years ago. All right, and I'm going to even put this up here. So if anybody's got this on silent, they can actually read the words on the screen. And so that way they'll know what the actual question is. And who was the president that the United States had no debt? Is that, I don't know, George Washington? Is that possible? Was there a time the United States was never in debt? That's hard to imagine. I didn't think there was ever a time. I always thought, even though we're one of the strongest countries, that somehow we are always in debt to somebody, but I don't know. What's the answer? Who was that president, Robert Simmons? I don't know. Andrew Jackson. Wow. So before Andrew Jackson, we were in debt, but then somehow when Andrew Jackson was president, we had zero debt. Okay. Brett, what's up, Brett? How you doing? Very good. All right. So answer me this, riddle me this, riddle me that. In 1824 was 200 years ago. Who was the president in the year 1824? How many people are doing Wikipedia right now? That tends to always be the one I use for information. Even though some people warn me sometimes Wikipedia is not correct, but all right. Well, we'll go back to my question. All right. So, hi, Brett. Hi, Robert. Andrew Jackson's the one that took the money away from the United States Bank, federal money. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. When was Andrew Jackson president? Let's go all the way back. All right. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, president from 1829 to 1837. Okay. So, what am I asking? Okay, the president 200 years ago. It's not Andrew Jackson. You don't know? Okay, all right. James Monroe was the president 200 years ago. James Monroe. He was president from 1817 to 1825. In fact, let's see. He was the fourth president of the United States. No, fifth president of the United States. He had George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and then James Monroe was the fifth one. Although not one that many people really think about, but he was in there. He was the one that was president 200 years ago. So that's that one. Okay. This one should be easier if you know anything. How about the president from 100 years ago? How about that? Let's see what you got for that one. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, I got the Jeopardy song in my head when I'm asking questions, and Jeopardy's the first quiz show that popped into my head. 100 years ago was 1924. Can you believe that? Yep, 1924 was 100 years ago already. It's the year 2024, subtract 100, 1924. So who was the president of the United States in 1924? What do we got? What do we got? What do you know? What do you know? Hey, you got it. Very good, Robert Simmons. Calvin Coolidge was the president from 1923 to 1929. Okay, and let's see. Check this out. I just ordered this recently. Okay, so movies first started becoming, actually, I don't know how far back the information I have as far as movies goes, but 100 years ago, actually looked this up, the best-selling movie of 1924 was a movie called The Seahawk. It's a black and white silent film, classic swashbuckler of the silent era. So 1924, this is the number one movie of that year of 100 years ago. I just thought I'd throw that in. So the year that Calvin Coolidge was president, this was the top movie that people paid money to see. I thought that was interesting. Okay, so let's go from 100 years ago. You know what? Since I've got music information, let's go with 60 years ago. Who was the president of the United States in 1964? Y'all, this should be getting even easier. Well, I don't want to say everybody should know this, but I know you guys know this. You guys have been around for at least I know Robert's been around a little bit longer than I have, by what, 10 years? You were born in 1960? All right, hold on. Let me do something. Okay. 1964. Let's see what we got. You're saying LBJ. You are correct, sir. Ha ha. 1964. Lyndon Baines Johnson from Texas was president from 1963 to 1969. All right. So this brings us to music. No, actually, before I talk about music charts, why not? Well, okay, since we're talking 1964, that year, here are some of the popular movies. My Fair Lady was popular in 1964. The Beatles' Hard Day's Night came out at the end of 1964. Okay. And I got this one saved up for when, what is it, Memorial Day or Veterans Day? I could watch this on either of them. It's a war comedy, but it's such a good movie. This came out in 1964 also. So didn't like the first two, no, James Bond, Goldfinger, and let's see, Mary Poppins, and From Russia with Love. That was all 1964. Okay, what do we got? Okay, so Brett's posting something about Franklin Roosevelt. Margie TV has got ads, and now she's saying hello. Greetings, Margie. Nice to see you. Robert Simmons is 61 years old. Wait, okay, so you weren't born in 1960. Wait, if you're 61 years old, wait, hold on. That means that you were born in 1963. Did I do the math correct? 1963? 1 year before 1964? Okay. All right, so since we're on 1964, Margie, what's up? Hello, Margie. Hello, Sir Robert. All right. So, we looked at movies, and Lyndon B. Johnson was the president. But what about music? What was number one in the month of February? We're just limiting these to the month of February. February 1964. There was 2 number one albums and 1 number one song. Can anybody guess what that could possibly be? I give you a second, especially since they got like the delay and everything like that. So February 1964. Who was the only president that served 4 terms? Ooh. I'm cheating. I got this list in front of me right now. I'm scrolling through trying to see I don't know. Woodrow Wilson? No. Was it Woodrow Wilson? Was that 4 years, 1913 to 1921? No. Okay. 4 terms. Franklin D. Roosevelt, I think, is who you're talking about. I believe that's the answer to your question. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Okay. Brett's got more YouTube videos to share. 1962. Oh, so you're going to be turning 60. Yeah, you're going to be turning 62 years old sometime this year. Okay. All right. So back to music in February 1964. What do we got? All right. Well, we have, okay. Anybody know French? Okay, we got, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to say what I think it is. Sourire. The Singing Nun was the number one album in February 1964. But then the American version of With the Beatles, Meet the Beatles was the number one album. And Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand was the number one song. I want to hold your hand. Where's Beatles? Okay. All right, I got this on vinyl right here. Meet the Beatles. I'm pretty sure I don't have the original vinyl, but Okay, so there we go. Meet the Beatles. There's the back cover. All right. February 1964. The Beatles finally hit the charts and it was all over. That was, to me, I think that was really the birth of what became popular rock and roll. When the Beatles started hitting them charts, then the charts were all about rock and roll after that. I don't know if there was any rock and roll albums. Well, I mean, unless you count Elvis Presley's soundtrack albums, I don't think there's really any rock and roll albums before the Beatles went to number one. Okay, so that's 1964. 1964, you had Lyndon B. Johnson, you had the Beatles, and you had a couple movies, Hard Day's Night, My Fair Lady, Dr. Strangelove. Be 62 in July. All right, so that was 60 years ago. All right, so we got 200 years ago, James Monroe. 100 years ago, Calvin Coolidge. 50 years ago, oh wait, we're about to do 50 years ago. Okay, so since we're talking about February, okay, let's go with the president, 1974. Now this is a trick question because that year, there were actually two presidents that year, although when I do my music charts, since it's February, there's only one president that was president in February 1974. But who were the presidents in the year 1974? These should be getting easy because no matter how old you are, you probably should know these at least. 200 years ago, knowing James Monroe, that's a different story. Knowing Calvin Coolidge 100 years ago, that's a different story. But 50 years ago, I know you know Robert Simmons because in 1974, you were 12 years old, if I remember right. Okay. Hey, how you doing? Oh, all right. You from Vietnam? Am I reading that correct? I'm guessing that's Vietnam. Could be somewhere around there at least. Haha. I'm not even going to try to say it though. But if you want to come on here and click this link right here, I'll let you join me. You can even say what your name is so I know how to pronounce it next time. But anyway, what am I guessing? Vietnam? Let me know. Okay, so Robert Simmons, if you're still there, you got to know this at least. Who were the two presidents in the year 1974? I bought this for like $1 at a thrift store. I don't know how to play it, but I just make sounds with it. It's like there's like all these holes in it, but only two of them really do anything if you put your finger in front of them. As long as I'm not making that squeaky loud noise, I'm doing okay. Okay, anyway. All right, let's do this. Okay, presidents in 1974. First one was Richard Nixon. President Richard Nixon from 1969 to 1974. And we all know what happened after Watergate. So Gerald Ford became president from 1974 to 1977. In fact, let's see. Let's see if we get the months here. Okay, so Richard Nixon was president until August 9th, 1974. Actually, yeah, interesting. Okay, and then Gerald Ford became president on August 9th, 1974. Okay, so we got that. But let's see, since we're talking about 1974, what about movies? Let's see. I got a couple movies from 1974. Got Blazing Saddles came out in 1974. That was the second most popular movie of the year. Young Frankenstein came out in 1974. And The Godfather Part 2 came out in 1974. All right, but let's see. Music. February 1974. 50 years ago, when Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford, well, actually, no, we're talking about February. In February 1974, when Richard Nixon was still president, there were 2 number 1 albums and 2 number 1 songs. Okay. First one, I don't have that particular album, but it's by this guy right here. Jim Croce had a number 1 album with his album called You Don't Mess Around with Jim. And that's one that has a song called You Don't Mess Around with Jim, where you don't spit into the wind, you don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. But some guy named Slim did mess around with Jim, and Slim actually won in the end. So at the end of the song, you find out you don't mess around with Slim. Okay, that, and then Bob Dylan had a number 1 album called Planet Waves. It was Bob Dylan and the band. Barbra Streisand went to number 1 with her song The Way We Were. And Love Unlimited Orchestra with Barry White went to number 1 with Love Theme. So there you go. There's your February 1974. All right. Okay. We're moving on up. Let's go with who was the president of the United States in this one's too easy, though. 1984. Who was president in 1984? I think it's too easy, but you never know. Some people might not know. Da-ha, 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 ha, 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 da-ha, 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 ha, ha, ha. The Rappin' Duke. Da-ha, 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 ha, ha, ha. Oh, $1 Billion Babies. That actually came out in 1973, though. But no, that's right. Muscle of Love came out in 1973. $1 Billion Babies. Okay. Wow, that's pretty cool. All right. So, the president of the United States in 1984, from 1981 to 1989, 2 terms, was Ronald Reagan. That was our president in the 80s. Okay. All right. What about movies of 1984? Since we're going there, this covers like the whole year. All right. I got so many of them since I was a kid of the 80s. First, you had Ghostbusters, 1984. Beverly Hills Cop, doing the Neutron Dance. The Karate Kid. Daniel-san. This is Spinal Tap. Turning it up to 11. Police Academy. This one, not as many people know, but it's one of my favorite comedies of all time. Top Secret with Val Kilmer. That's one. Well, one of the many jokes was that they had in there, and there's like, so he's talking with this woman, and they start talking about foreign language, and he's like, sorry, I don't speak any German, and the lady is like, I know a little German, and he's sitting right over there, and then this little midget guy gets up and waves at her. I just love that kind of comedy. Okay. Gremlins came out in 1984. Just don't get them wet. And Footloose also came. Oh, wait, there's more. Footloose came out in 1984. The Terminator came out in 1984. And The Muppets Take Manhattan. Actually, this is one of my second favorite Muppet movie, because the first Muppet movie is obviously my favorite, but this one is my second favorite. This came out in 1984. All right. So, 50 years. Okay, so that was 40 years ago. Oh, but we haven't talked about music yet either. Okay, so Brett's got some videos. I'll have to, I guess when I'm done with this and it repopulates, I'm gonna have to check out these videos that you got here. In fact, you know what? If you've been paying attention to my YouTube channel, me and Mercy went to Illinois last May, and on the way back, we went through, was it Topeka, Illinois? We got to see Ronald Reagan's baby home, his where he was born. I thought that, yeah, Dune came out in 1984 also, or was it 83? I think Dune was 83. I could be wrong, but let's see. Let's look it up. Dune, a 1984 film. Yep, you were right. Dune came out in 1984. Okay. All right. But let's talk about music. We talked about movies. 1984. So February of 1984, when Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States, we had one #1 album and 2 #1 songs. Okay, can anybody guess? Now let's think back to 1984, and this was like the top-selling album of pretty much 83 and 84. What could possibly have been the #1 album in February of 1984? In fact, if you look behind me, you can see it. It's up there. Where's my finger? Yeah. I'm trying to point in the right, up there. Okay, it's up there. Okay, the #1 album, actually for most of 1984, but at least at the very beginning of 1984, we are back to Thriller again. You know what's so cool is just this weekend I watched this special about 40 years of Thriller, and it's just amazing, you know, where it all began and the whole story behind it. I mean, this album had like everything, like almost every genre. I mean, I guess if you include the guitar and Beat It, you know, even metal was kind of included in here. So, and then of course you had stuff like Thriller, which is just like, you know, so out there with like being a scary song, but also being about, hey, I'm your thriller. I can thrill you more than anything. So, yep, #1 album. All right. Then there's 2 #1 songs, and I got albums that have both of them on there. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, so the first #1 song was by this group right here, Culture Club. Had a #1 song with Karma Chameleon. Your colors would be easy if your loving was like my dreams, red, gold, and green. Anybody else have dreams that are the color of red, gold, and green? Well, loving would be easy if your colors were like that. Okay, and then Van Halen 1984 had Jump. Mac Daddy make you jump. Oh, wait, no, that's totally different Jump. Might as well jump. Go ahead and jump. Yep, Jump was the #1 song also in February of 1974. Wow, look at that. Classic Van Halen right there. The last album that David Lee Roth was on until like 20 years later with the one offshoot, but 1984 even says it right there. This album had Jump, Hot for Teacher, Panama, oh. Hey, Brett's schooling us on movies. Are you on Wikipedia too? You getting all this? Oh yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. How could I forget including that? I got that on DVD somewhere. Okay. Spinal Tap, Boy George, 1984. Oh yeah. I mean, they had it all when David Lee Roth was the lead singer. That was like their best iteration. I mean, Sammy Hagar was good, but he just doesn't have the showmanship that David Lee Roth had. But I guess he got carried away and they went their separate ways. Yes, he was. Very true. They were all very good with what they did. Okay, so that's 1984 when Ronald Reagan was president, Van Halen, Culture Club, Michael Jackson, and then all the movies we listed earlier. Okay, 30 years ago was 1994. And who can tell me who was the president, if I can spell president, of the United States in 1994? Who was the United States president in the year 1994? Hey, how you doing? Mapa Leonora. All right. Welcome. Hi. Nice to see you. All right. This one should be easy also. Very good, Brett. Brett got it. 30 years ago, from 1993 to the year 2001, Bill Clinton was the United States president. Okay. What else was 1994? Let's see. I got movies from 1994 also. Let's see. We got The Lion King, 1994. Forrest Gump, 1994. Did you find Jesus yet, Gump? I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for him, sir. Okay. Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies, 1994. Four Weddings and a Funeral. The Crow. Great movie, great soundtrack. 1994. Shawshank Redemption. And Speed. That's all the ones I have with me right now that represent movies of 1994. Okay. So when Bill Clinton was the president, that was the popular movies of 1994. Good morning, Christ Follower TV. Run, Forrest, run. Okay, but how about February of 1994, 30 years ago? What about music? My music hits me so hard, makes me say, oh my Lord. Okay, so while Bill Clinton was in office in February 1994, there were four, I got to get my fingers right. There were 4 number 1 albums and 2 number 1 songs. Are you ready for this? You ready to go back 30 years? Okay, first one was Mariah Carey with Music Box. Then we had Alice in Chains with Jar of Flies. Then country artist John Michael Montgomery with Kicking It Up. And that's the one that had the song I Swear. So he did the original version of I Swear, but my favorite version is by a group called, was the group called All for One? I think that was the name of the group. They did a I Swear, and I love that version. And then Toni Braxton with her self-titled album. Those all went to number 1. 2 number 1 songs. You had Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, and Sting with All for Love. I believe that was on the Three Musketeers soundtrack. That explains why there was 3 guys. Okay, and then Celine Dion with The Power of Love. There we go, 1994. That was what was popular at that time. Bill Clinton is president of the United States. All right. This should just be getting easier. Okay. 20 years ago was the year 2004. Okay. I can't feel my legs. But wait. One of my other favorite ones from that is like where he's like, he comes and visits Forrest Gump on the boat, and he's like, hey, Forrest, I'm just here to check out my sea legs. And he's like, but Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs. Okay. All right. Let's go. Who was the president in the year 2004? 20 years ago, who was the United States president? Wow. Okay. President 2004. No, you are wrong, Brett. Obama was not 2004. 2004. This guy was president from 2001 to 2009. Who was that president? The guy that came right before Obama. Who was it? I know. Everybody knows. At least if you know 20 years ago. Okay. Well, from 2001 to 2009, our president was George W. Bush. George W. Bush was the United States president in 2004. Okay. And let's see, movies of 2004. You had Shrek 2. You had Spider-Man 2. Yes, you got it. Yes. All right. Yeah, The Incredibles. Ray. I love this movie with Jamie Foxx playing Ray Charles. Okay. Everybody's favorite Valentine's movie of 2004, The Notebook. And that's all I brought with me. Okay, so that's 2004 in movies. Okay, so when George W. Bush was president in February of 2004, what was number one in albums and singles? We're talking about just February of 2004. Well, I got a saying here. There were 4 number one albums and 4 number one songs. Okay. In fact, we are getting to, if anybody really liked the Super Bowl halftime show with Usher, we are getting to that point where almost exactly 20 years ago, Usher started ruling the country for about a couple months. So, yeah, Ray Charles did a great version of America the Beautiful. It was just, he was really good. Okay, so 4 number one albums. He had The Outkast. Some people say The Outkast, but it's just Outkast with Speakerboxxx Love Below. Where'd I put it? Okay. And I have these separated basically because they basically are 2 albums, but they were promoted together. You know, because Big Boy had his own album, and Andre had his own album, but it all came together. So Outkast, Speakerboxxx Love Below. You had Twista with Kamikaze. You had Kenny Chesney with When the Sun Goes Down. When the Sun Goes Down. And then Norah Jones came out with Feels Like Home. And I love this one right here. Norah Jones. In fact, I was actually sent to Iraq for a couple months when this album came out, and I listened to this a lot back then. It's such a nice, sweet album. But Norah Jones, Feels Like Home. Okay. All right, 4 number one songs. Okay. We had Outkast with Hey Ya. And nobody knows how to shake it like a Polaroid picture anymore because most people nowadays don't know what a Polaroid picture is. But anyway, okay, and then Outkast with I Like the Way You Move. And then Twista, Kanye West, and Jamie Foxx with Slow Jams. And then we start the Usher era. Usher, Lil Jon, and Ludacris with Yeah. 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 Okay. And Yeah was off of this album right here, Usher's Confessions, which very soon, in I think like March or April of 2004, went to number one, became the best-selling album of 2004. And I'll just show this one. This one didn't go to number one. I think this actually went to number 2, but Kanye West's first album, The College Dropout, came out in actually February of 2004. All right. So there we go. What did I miss? While I'm over here just talking about stuff. Okay, yes, OutKast. Yeah. Well, that was like their last big one. Then they had a soundtrack album that I mean it was pretty decent, but I can't Idle I think it's Idlewild was the name of the OutKast album. All right. LV, but that was their last one until just recently when Andre 3000 came out, and I haven't heard anything on it, but Andre 3000 came out with a song that's basically just all flutes. I like the way you move. I don't know. Okay. Aquemini and Stankonia was the peak time of OutKast. Yeah, I would agree. All right, Usher played the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean that was a big deal. I mean, anybody that was around that was loving the music in 2004, I mean, that's it right there. You're like, yeah. All right. So where are we? Okay, that was 2004. Okay, so in 2004, when George W. Bush was president, you had OutKast, Usher, Norah Jones, Twista, and then a whole bunch of movies like Spider-Man 2 and stuff like that. It is all wind instruments. Okay, so maybe some of it sounds like this. Hopefully not. Okay. Hello. Hi, Ma. How you doing? Okay. Andre 3000's new. Yeah, I know. And no vocal. That's weird. And basically he said that, when he was rapping, that was 20 years ago. And he's now at the age where he doesn't feel like he can say anything that rap music will represent. He doesn't have anything to say rap music wise. So he's on a totally different level right now. All right. So that was awesome 20 years ago. What about 10 years ago? Who was the president of the United States in 2014? President in 2014. And Brett, I know you know the answer to this one because you said it earlier. And I just gave it away if anybody was paying attention. Barack Obama. He was president from 2009 to 2017. Okay, so when Barack Obama was president in 2014, he had movies like Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014. Captain America, the Winter Soldier came out in 2014. And some people say that's probably the best Captain America movie, although I still prefer the first one, but this is a good movie. Frozen was like so far up there. In fact, oh wait, okay, we haven't gotten that far yet, but I'll talk about Frozen more later. Birdman came out in 2014. Yeah, it did. Okay, anybody ever seen this movie? It's pretty good. It won critics' favorites. American Sniper, I believe, came out in 2014. Am I right? Yeah, I think so. And then also 2014, the Lego movie. Everything is awesome. Everything is awesome. Right, Lego guys? Let's see. We got Lego movie right here. I got some Lego Army guys. Everything is awesome. Everything is awesome. Everything is awesome. Hi, I'm Lego guy too. Okay. All right. So that was 2014. But what about February of 2014? What was popular in music? Yes. I have some Legos. Look, got a little army Jeep. The guy standing up. You should never do that. That's dangerous. In fact, if you're in the Army and you're standing up on a Jeep while it's driving, then you're probably going to get in really big trouble. Anyway, oh, wait. But don't forget these guys. Some of my vehicles, like, fell apart, but Batman. I'm Batman. Okay. But anyway, I put those Legos together myself, and then some kids came over and visited, decided to play with Legos, and they kind of tore it all apart. But okay, February 2014, Barack Obama was president. What was popular in music? Okay, he had 3 #1 albums and 2 #1 songs. Bruce Springsteen went to #1 with an album called High Hopes. The Frozen soundtrack was #1. In fact, I think the Frozen soundtrack was the best-selling album of the whole year 2014. Even though it's not really, as far as I'm concerned, it's got some catchy songs, but it's for kids. But anyway, it still was like the most top selling. Okay, and then Now 49 collection of songs from that year. Okay, all right, 2 #1 songs. You had Pitbull and Kesha with Timber. It's going down. I'm yelling timber. And then Katy Perry and Juicy J with Dark Horse. That's the one that had the video where they're like in Egypt and stuff like that. So that was 2014. Let It Go. Yeah, no. My brother was telling me just recently how he's been inspired by listening to the Beatles' Let It Be, and he almost wants to go to church because Mother Mary said words of wisdom, let it be. And I'm like, but what about Let It Go? I think Let It Be still probably better. Anyway, okay. So let's break this down. Okay. 200 years ago, the president was James Monroe from 1817 to 1825. 200 years ago. 100 years ago, the president was Calvin Coolidge, 1923 to 1929. 50 years ago, the presidents were Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford. Oh, wait. And then I said 60 years ago, Lyndon Johnson. 50 years ago, I said that already. 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan. 30 years ago, Bill Clinton. 20 years ago, George Bush. 10 years ago, Barack Obama. And then our current president, and we'll see what happens in November, is Joe Biden. So our current president, Joe Biden, from 2021 to question mark. So what is currently popular on the music charts? Obviously I don't have movies to show for this year because I don't think any movies that came out this year are released on DVD yet. In fact, you know what? I'm going to look this up here. In 2024, what are the most popular movies right now? Ooh. Okay, it's February 2024, and there's the biggest selling movies are ones I'm not even familiar with. There's a #1 movie called YOLO, You Only Live Once. Pegasus 2. Boonie, I didn't know there was a Pegasus 1. Boonie Bears with Time Twist. I guess there's a reversion of Mean Girls. Bob Marley's One Love. Madam Web. The Beekeeper. Okay. We'll see what stays popular as the year goes on. But anyway, all right. So we're going with current 2024. What's current for February? This is the month of February. In fact, I don't have all the information yet because the month isn't over. But as of right now, the 19th of February, these are what was popular for this month. Actually, we only have one more week of charts to come out. So most of the month's already gone already. Okay. So anybody been paying attention to current popular music? Well, #1 albums of February 2024. You had 21 Savage with American Dream. Morgan Wallen came back with One Thing at a Time. Toby Keith 35 greatest hits. You know, after he passed away, it was enough to put 35 greatest hits at the number one spot. And then Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign with Vultures 1. And so far, the number one song for this week hasn't come out yet. But so far, we've got Jack Harlow with Lovin' On Me, where he sings He Doesn't Need No Whips and Chains. And then Megan Thee Stallion with Hiss. Okay. And that's what we got. I know. And him dying was enough to make at least one of his greatest hits albums to go to number one. And sometimes, you know, it's sad that sometimes that's what it takes to have people really appreciate stuff. But yeah, all right. So that's what we got with that. That we talked about presidents. We showed up movies. We talked about music. And I'm hungry. Anybody else got something they want to bring up? Yes. What else am I going to share? Okay, let's see. What else was it? Okay, this was 93 and 94. You had Janet Jackson. 93 and 94, you had Wu-Tang Clan. 93 and 94, you had Pearl Jam with Verses. 93 and 94, you had Counting Crows, August and Everything After. Because Mr. Jones and me, we're going to be big stars. Mr. Jones and me wanted to be big stars. I don't know how Mr. Jones did. What is this? 2004? Okay. Huh. All right, that's like 1982. Okay, anyway. All right. What else we got? I'm just bringing stuff up. Okay, Norah Jones, 2004. Ringo Starr was really popular in 1974. Steve Miller Band, The Joker was 1974. Jay-Z with the Black Album, it would have been 2003 and 2004. Can you see anything besides words Jay-Z? Okay. Pearl Jam is still, I know. That's good stuff. Man, I'm totally sad. One of my favorite bands of all time from Rockford, Illinois is Cheap Trick. And where are they? This band right here. I've seen them in concert a couple times, but just recently here in San Antonio, Texas, they came and performed. Actually, just this, like, I think it was last Friday night, actually. Yeah, just a couple days ago they came. We had the stock show, I can't remember what it's called, but they were here and I didn't go. And oh man, I'm so sad. Does anybody remember this movie? I have the soundtrack. Basically, Cheap Trick had the title song of the soundtrack called Up the Creek. I'm up the creek. I'm up the creek. And that came out in 1984. It's a fun movie. It's got nudity in it and comedy, and it's not as good as Animal House, but I don't think it's a bad movie. Anyway, all right. Pearl Jam's the best-selling band from Washington. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame Nirvana wasn't able to stick around, but, you know, things happen. Okay. Usher, 2004. Outkast. Elton John was 73 and 74 with Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Foreigner. I Want to Know What Love Is came out at the end of 1984. Hey, how about this is a cassette? Los Lobos came out in 1984. Bob Marley's Legend came out in 1984. It's enough to make you jump. Because I know you miss me. I know you miss me blind. That was terrible. Karma Chameleon. It's a miracle. Want to be starting something. Got to be starting something. Cheap Trick will be on tour this summer with Journey, and that's perfect. That's just hard to get much better than that. Hopefully, if they come back to the San Antonio area, I'll get a chance to see them. Bad Leroy Brown. I want to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. I saw her standing there. This boy. Classic album right here. Okay, 1964. How about this? What about 1973? Actually, 1974. No, end of 1973. Bruce Springsteen's Wildly Innocent and the E Street Shuffle. That one of the popular ones off that was Rosalita. Rosalita, jump a little lighter. Carpenters were popular. Their greatest hits came out in the beginning of 1973 and went to number 1. Jim Croce. Snoop Dogg, 1993-94. Tori Amos. Anybody remember Tori Amos? Okay. So, I guess that's good enough playing show and tell. Just think, next month you'll probably be seeing me hold this one up. This was like the top selling album of the year 1994. Yeah, 1994. Okay. Hey, did you know that Kiss's very first album, their debut album, came out exactly 50 years ago in 1974? That's the one that had Strutter. Yeah, Kiss. There they are. Right there. See those guys right there? Okay. Strutter. Okay. I'm hungry. Have I done this for an hour yet? Anybody else want to talk about President's Day? Anybody do anything special today for President's Day? Who's your favorite president? Most people would say Abraham Lincoln, I guess. He's usually at the top of the president's lists. How about this? Say, okay, tell me when you were born and I'll tell you the president of the year where you were born. You're working tonight. Oh, man. Okay. What year were you born? I'm just going to put this up there so people can read it in case they're on silent. Okay, so Brett, you were president when Ronald Reagan became... Wait, you were president. Did I just say that? Brett was president. No, wait, actually, when in 1981? What's your... No, yeah. It would have been January of 1981. So unless you were born before January 20th, Ronald Reagan was president the year that you were born. Okay. In fact, so let's see, when you were 10 years old. Wait, you said you were born. Okay, so George H.W. Bush was president when you were 10 years old. Okay. George W. Bush was president when you were 20 years old. Barack Obama was president when you were 30 years old. And Joe Biden's president now that you're 40 years old. So, hey, that's interesting, huh? See, when I was born in the year 1970. When I was born, Richard Nixon was the president. I am not a crook. I'm not a crook. Yeah, that was my president when I was born. Of course, when I didn't know anything about any of that stuff until the 80s. So the first president I even knew about was Ronald Reagan. I mean, I guess I must have had like a sheltered life. You know, when you're a kid, you don't care about that stuff unless you're from a family that really cares about it. But yeah, that guy. Yep, Watergate. That's the reason why in August of 1974, he stopped being the president. And for the rest of that year from 1974 to 1977, Gerald Ford was the president. In fact, Richard Nixon, his first term was 1969 and 1973. Then his second term would have been 1973 to 1977, but the whole Watergate thing came out, and Gerald Ford, his vice president, took his place. Was he his vice president? I'm pretty sure he was his vice president. Or wait, hold on. Okay, yeah, Gerald Ford was his vice president in his second term. In his first term as president, Spiro Agnew was the vice president. But then it was vacant from, wonder what happened to Spiro Agnew. Did he die? When did he died in 1996? Okay, so I don't know why he stopped being vice president, but okay. Anyway, oh, okay. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, he resigned in 1973. Huh. Okay. All right. Very good, very good. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, who can name all? How many presidents have we had? 50? What number president is? Okay, so Joe Biden is the 46th president of the United States. Who can name the top five? Top five. We had George Washington. I'm doing John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, who was president 200 years ago. Did I get that right? James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, James K. Polk, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, the 15th president of the United States from 61 to 65, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes. Oh, behave. Okay. James A. Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, Grover Cleveland again, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt. Wait, where's Calvin Coolidge? Oh, I haven't gotten there yet? Okay. Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Warden G. Hardin, then Calvin Coolidge, what 100 years ago was the president of the United States in 1924. Can you believe 1924 was already 100 years ago? And this was the number one movie of 1924. And I actually have it, the black and white silent movie. But it should be interesting. I haven't watched it yet, but I plan on it. Sometime soon, I'll let you know how that goes. Should be interesting. All right. I think that pretty much covers it. What do you think? So for Brett, who has to go to work soon, and everybody else that was here, I thank you very much for joining me. And it is 5 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to eat, and then I got to look for a job. I got to look for a job. I got to find a job. I need to work to make money. Right now I'm like in between. I just got done with a class that I was taking to learn how to do computer work. But now the work I got to do is to find a job. That's work also in itself. I almost feel like I should get paid to find a job. But if I do find a job in what I just trained for, then I'll I should be getting paid pretty good, so it'll make the waiting worth it. Right, George? Yeah. What happened to your head? What is this anyway? Some kind of... Ooh! It's like Old Spice. Got Old Spice in this thing. That's interesting. What about you, Abraham Lincoln? 20 years ago, Mama had a baby and its head fell off. Okay. Ugh. It's kind of like Old Spice, but it smells even worse. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Presidents of the United States. Does anybody remember the group called Presidents of the United States? There was a rock band called Presidents of the United States. And one of their most popular songs was a song called Lump. And Weird Al Yankovic went and made a version of that called Gump. In fact, since Forrest Gump came out in 1994, that means that group, the Presidents of the United States from Seattle, their album, self-titled album, The Presidents of the United States of America, came out in March of 1995. So next year, I'll be talking about them. And then, let's see, let's look up Weird Al Yankovic. I just watched something on him too. I always liked Weird Al Yankovic. Sometimes you just got to dare to be stupid. Just got to let your freak flag fly. Try to say that. Freak flag fly. Okay, so Weird Al Yankovic. It would have been off his Bad Hair Day album, the one where he also covered Coolio. And instead of Gangster's Paradise, he did Amish Paradise. But yes, in May of 1996, almost exactly a year after President of the United States came out with Lump, he came out with Gump. Amazing the things you learn, huh? All right. Franklin Roosevelt's Day of Infamy speech, okay, is classic. State of Washington was named after George Washington and is on the state flag. Yes, very good. I've been there. George Washington is on the state flag. Yes, it's green, and then that's a circle with George Washington on it. Yes, it's true. It's true. It's darn true. Well, you're not Kurt Angle, George Washington. Okay, calm down. All right. It's true. It's darn true. Let me see. I'm going to look something up real quick. Okay. We'll skip Weird Al Yankovic. We'll skip the group, the Presidents of the United States of America. And we'll go to back to the Presidents of the United States of America. The list of presidents. Okay. Let's look up the names here. Are there any presidents named Brett? Yeah, George, John, Thomas, James, John, Andrew, Martin, William, John, James, Zachary, Millard, Franklin, James, Abraham, Andrew, Ulysses, Rutherford, James. James is like a really popular name for presidents. Chester, Grover, Benjamin. Hey, I've got a son named Benjamin. Grover Cleveland, same guy. William, Theodore, William, different William, Woodrow, Warren, Calvin, Herbert, Franklin, Harry, Dwight, John, Lyndon, Richard, Gerald, Jimmy, Ronald, George, Bill, George, again, different George, but same last name, Barack, Donald, and Joe. So there were no presidents named Brett. Man, sorry, Brett. Yeah, millions of peaches for me. Yeah, I like that group. They had some good stuff. Yeah. All right. It is 5 o'clock. I am going to call it a day. Hopefully, everybody had a great President of the United States Day or President Day. Happy birthday to the two presidents that had birthdays around this time. And thank you, Brett. And I will see everybody. Well, I mean, I'm going to make videos. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to meet with my the pastor of my church. I'm going to make a video where I try to talk about the Lord's Prayer. I know the traditional Catholic version of it, but that uses words like thy and hallowed and art. And I'm going to try to make sense out of it where people that speak today's languages will know exactly what it means. And I'm try to figure out exactly what it means so people can understand it. I mean, we can still say it the traditional Catholic way, since that's the way Catholics believe it should be said, but we need to understand what we're the meaning behind what we're saying too. So hopefully by next Sunday night or Monday morning Philippines time, I will have a video of that. But as far as live stream goes, unless I, for whatever reason, feel like I want to do another one this month, I look forward to seeing y'all in March. Yeah, Brock Lesnar. I know what's going on with the WWE right now. I mean, I want that whole thing to be over with the trial so we find out what people are accused of. Are they actually, is it just going to be accusations? Or let's have some finality to it. So, if people really are wrong, we'll do what we're doing with them. But if they aren't wrong, well, we can, I guess, forgive them for what we thought about them and go back to whatever. Okay, so yeah, that's it. As the world turns. It's interesting. Anybody know Spanish? For some reason, I have a Spanish Bible, but I don't know Spanish well enough to actually be able to read it and know exactly what it says. But I need to make some Spanish friends, which I've got plenty that live down here in San Antonio. Maybe they can read this for me and see how much of a difference this translation is from the English translation. That should be interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I am the only human in this house. Hopefully everybody had a great Valentine's Day. Hopefully everybody had now that it's pretty much over, had a great President's Day. And what's next? What's next on the calendar for holidays? Okay. Well, just in case anybody wanted to know, my dad's birthday is on the 23rd of February. My daughter Carly's birthday is on the 26th of February. So happy birthday to you too. And then on the 1st of March is my son Benjamin's birthday. And on the 3rd of March, I believe, is my daughter Lewin in the Philippines' birthday. And then the Oscars are on the 3rd. Okay, so the next actual holiday is St. Patrick's Day on the 17th, and we're looking forward to that. For those of us who are Irish, I'll be on here. Either I'll make a video or else I'll do another live stream, and you'll see me bring up like Irish wrestlers like Fit Finlay and Becky Lynch and Sheamus and stuff like that. But that's more to talk about later. But in the meantime, in the Rebel Yell, we'll cry mo, mo, mo. And if y'all cry mo, 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 if you want mo of the David and Whipple Mercy channel, just let me know. No. Was that cheesy? Okay. All right. Let's go say hi to birds. Hi, birds. Hello, Blue Steel. Named that one after Zoolander. And Mellow Yellow. Still got these two in the house. So they're still alive, doing good. Which is important. It's nice to have live birds. Don't want them dying anymore. I already lost 2 females. And then see any fishes in there? Where are they? They're hiding. Okay, we can't say goodbye to the fishes. Okay, where's my goldfish? What? Oh, they're in there. Can you see? Can you see that one right there? Okay, there you go. All right. La, la, la. Well, everybody, I love you to the moon and back. Thank you so much, and I'm glad you were here. And hopefully, this was an entertaining enough of a live stream, entertaining and informative to have you actually more and more people watch. So watch this, leave comments, let me know what you think. Pooja is here. Hi, I'm good. Nice to see you. Oh man, you showed up just as I was getting ready to call it a night. Pooja's from India, right? Isn't it in India where they really like elephants? Look at this. Isn't that pretty neat? I believe if I remember, it's a big India thing. They really love elephants. I don't know. They don't worship elephants or like there's like a god that looks like an elephant or something like that. I don't know. Tell me if I'm right or not. But anyway, yeah, that's what, if I remember right about India, that's one of the things. So, yay, I was right. Okay, I did remember some things. Okay, so Scotty B is here. Yeah, very good, very good. Hi, Scotty B, 1960. Okay. Well, since Scotty B is here, you know what? Let me get my. All right, we're gonna do some for the people that just showed up. We're gonna do some president. We're gonna do a presidential quiz. Okay, how about this? Hold on. Okay. All right, Scotty B, since you were born in 1960, right? You were the one that was born in 1960. Okay. So earlier today, we had Brett Glasgow, who was born in 1981. But then before Brett, where is he? Okay. I had so many people here. That was nice. I like when people come join me. Christ Follow was here. Margie TV was here. You were here. Oh, Robert Simmons. Okay, Robert Simmons was born in 1962, but you were born in 1960. Okay. You didn't study. Okay. All right. So, for the sake of President's Day, and these are like two of people's favorites right here. I cannot tell a lie. Please join Pooja. If anybody is watching this, go make friends with Pooja. Okay. All right. So 200 years ago, the president of the United States was James Monroe. 100 years ago, the president of the United States was Calvin Coolidge. 50 years ago, the president of the United States were Richard Nixon and then Gerald Ford. 20 years ago, George W. Bush. What was 10 years ago? 2014? Barack Obama was 10 years ago. So, well, Scotty B, as far as the people that were here for my live stream, you are now currently the oldest. Yeah. But that's good. All right. So there's that. And then if you want to, earlier when I was talking about presidents, I also talked about movies and I talked about music. So if you want to look up stuff from way back then, just rewind, wait, this is not a VHS tape. You can't rewind Well, when I'm done with the live stream and it repopulates, you can always go back and click on it and then watch any part that you want to. But I'm letting you know that at one point I was talking about presidents, and with that year I was talking about the movies that were popular that year, and I was talking about the music that was number one during the month of February during those years. All right. So Pooja. Am I saying it correct? Am I saying Pooja? That is so cute. What is going on? Ah, Pooja's got some hearts. Okay. Hey, I got something interesting to show you too. Before I go, and on and on and on and on. Pooja's going on and on. All right. Wait, I'll be right back. Starting to get hungry. Okay. All right. So 100 years ago was 1924. And when Calvin Coolidge was the president in 1924, this was the number one movie, a black and white silent movie called The Seahawk. I thought that was pretty interesting. I looked that up. All right. 50 years ago, when Richard Nixon was our president, and then Gerald Ford became president, this was, well, the number two movie, but this was like one of the most popular movies of 1974. So, okay, Pooja. All right. Hey, everybody that was on here and everybody that watches this later, make sure y'all connect with each other. That's what it's all about. Making friends, supporting each other. And yeah, that's I guess I'm done. All right. So Pooja, namaste. Namaste. And then everybody else, goodbye, sayonara, adios. No, bonjour is hello. And all the other things. Okay. See y'all later.